This video is going to be a film study look at three elements of the Seahawks defense from Sunday's win over the Broncos. Of course, they held Denver and their rookie quarterback to just 13 first downs, and that included 3.3 yards per play. Two of those plays that the Broncos ran that they were successful on is scrambles by Bo Nix late in the game. Not that they don't count, but I suspect that the yards per play would be even lower than 3.3. I'm going to focus on three parts to the Seahawks defense and go over, I think, a light amount of plays for what I normally do in a film study. I think we're talking about 12 plays. A couple of them I'll show from both angles. Number one, the pursuit and effort of the entirety of the group of guys that were on the field on defense. It was borderline maniacal at times. Guys just flying around. I'll show examples of guys lining up on one side of the field and then finishing or getting involved in a tackle on the opposite side of the field. Additional to that, a short yardage play where just multiple guys are attacking in waves, and there are some missed tackles on the play, which no coach wants to see, no fan wants to see for that matter, but there are times where it almost looks more impressive to see 3, 4, 5 guys at the point of attack, one after the other. The second part that I'd like to cover is the open field tackles. Whether it's Rayshon Jenkins, whether it's Julian Love, whether it's Devin Witherspoon, the Seahawks are blessed with guys, I think, who can make plays in the open field, whether it's defending the pass or tackling. I understand that was an issue last year, at least through one game against the Broncos, admittedly with a rookie quarterback, but certainly not a rookie offensive coordinator / head coach in Sean Payton. They looked fantastic coming downhill, moving laterally and making tackles. And then the third part, we'll talk about some of the coverages that they played and how Mike Macdonald has a lot of cards in his pocket to play in various situations. I continue to call it the Mike Macdonald blender, and we saw a lot of examples of it on Sunday against the Broncos. So let's get right into the film. Let me know what you guys think of it as we move on here. Me trying to separate it into three parts, so we're not going in a linear fashion in terms of the progression of the game. This is the elements. So what we're talking about here is just pursuit that is incredible. It ends up being an incomplete pass. It's a 3rd and 2. Outside the pocket to the right. And Boye Mafe is look, it's a cheat play. I call it a cheat play, meaning the running back and the quarterback who's reverse pivoting are going in the same direction. So you're putting a lot of conflict on this edge defender. Does he go to the quarterback? Some 3-4 defenses, old school 50, if you will, don't have a rule. Don't let the running back cross your face, so you collision him and or run with him. Boye Mafe doesn't do either of those. He veers off to the quarterback, and then when Bo Nix kind of starts to pull the pin on the grenade, it forces Boye Mafe to elevate. But watch Dotson. It's almost like these two were on a string here. We'll rewatch it just from the beginning. So we're talking about these two guys and their tandem reaction to this full flow with the running back and quarterback. And then when Boye Mafe is in the air, obviously vulnerable, Bo Nix able to escape. Dotson is the second guy. Secondary contain is what I know it to be as. And just guys flying around. Guys playing extremely fast. There is a lot of team speed on this defense. I think that's quite obvious. You're not always going to be able to stop a cheat play, hence the name cheat play. But I thought this was a great example to use to start off talking about, fantastic pursuit and effort by these guys across the board. No, Boye Mafe doesn't hit the quarterback. Sometimes you say, well, man, let's just go hit the quarterback. Let's just go sack him. But when he's getting ready to throw the football, these guys are trained that they can't hit the quarterback unless they're within one step. So there is an element to this where quarterbacks do this often. Force the guy to elevate, ends up being an incomplete pass. Witherspoon in coverage against Williams late. Excellent job, if you ask me, of covering up for your teammates. Operating on a string. So now, this one I actually showed in my Julian Love video from a couple of days ago. Love is down here to the field side. You've got one tight end and one fullback in an ace formation. Jamal Williams is going to bounce it, and you do have a missed tackle by Tariq Woolen up there into the boundary. And no, Julian Love doesn't finish Jamal Williams. Look, Williams is a beast. He's always been a really difficult guy to tackle. Here's Julian Love right here. So he's away from the play, and then it's going to take off horizontally. You would oftentimes see this tackle made, and it's like an 8-yard gain, maybe 10. This one went for 3. I think these guys react so fast and they're so committed to getting after the football. Whatever Mike Macdonald and the defensive staff do, it shows up on film in terms of effort in terms of pursuit and angles and just incredible effort. Really the same concept here, guys. This is a third possession. Witherspoon to the field, nickel defender to trips, bunch, really. And watch this reaction. It's a pin pull pitch. So I think I'll show you the end zone angle as well. This only goes down as a 4-yard gain. I kind of thought it should be 5 based on the way it's spotted. But as the tight end goes in motion, you're getting a pin down block on the edge defender, and then the tackle looping around, the tight end also looping around to lead block, and Witherspoon all the way from the other side of the field ends up being the guy credited with the tackle. Multiple guys in pursuit. I love the angles here that you got from Baker and Dotson. Clearly defined angles, not necessarily a 45 all the time, but in that range of 40 to 45. Yes, you do have a missed tackle by Rayshawn Jenkins. Witherspoon able to cover it up. It's a 2nd and 7 run play that is into the boundary. I think is designed to get close to the first down, create a 3rd and short. It did not. Only goes for 4 yards. End zone, same play. So you can see what I'm talking about. I do have some questions about what they're letting certain offensive linemen do in terms of alignment versus others across the league. But in any case, same play, pin pull pitch, and Witherspoon is back here to the field side, away from the play. Incredible effort, and just refusing to not end up near the football at the end of the play. From a realistic perspective, we used to tell our kids, we want you in the camera view at the end of the play when the whistle blows. You can't always do that. This is the one that I'm talking about. It's a short yardage situation. Well, excuse me, it's 2nd and goal from the 13, so I shouldn't say it's short yardage. The Broncos had been penalized. I think they were down to like the 8 or something like that. So multiple guys make contact. Again, Williams is a load. You've got incredible effort here by the edge defender. I think that's Rayshawn Jenkins making contact first. Another defensive lineman. Tariq Woolen is actually given credit for the tackle, along with Julian Love. No one's a fan of missed tackles, and I'm not saying that you should be either. But when there's so many guys that are getting after the football, you're almost sometimes turned up to like 110%. And this may sound like I'm making excuses for missed tackles, but there's times where you feel like you're turned up to 110%, and you're almost beyond the governor for your car. Some of you don't know what a governor is. It's because I'm old, I do. So you're almost beyond what your car is capable of in terms of acceleration and burst. And so the tackling sometimes can have reduced efficiency because you're showing so much effort. Mike Macdonald and the defensive staff's job is to fine-tune that and find the right balance. All right, tackling in open field, which I thought was amazing. Julian Love missed one of these on Vele, who looks like an underrated receiver, number 17. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But you've got 3 receivers to the side, one of which is a tight end. So it's a tray formation back to the side. And I think Witherspoon is on a run blitz, if you ask me. And then in this case, Bo Nix keeps it, swings it out here. You got 2-on-2 to the field side. It's Josh Reynolds, who's a big, tough receiver. Played for the Lions last year. Saw a lot of him playing football in 2023 because I do a lot of Lions content as well. In this case, Julian Love downhill. Where his help is all to the inside. So he's going to make sure that he doesn't allow Reynolds an escape route to the outside. From a simplistic standpoint, you want to say miss the tackle to the inside, meaning that let him escape to the inside if you're going to miss the tackle. You never actually let people do that. It ends up working out almost like that somewhat here, but it's to the field, and Witherspoon widens this up because of how assertive he is with the block. And he's at a severe height, strength, and weight disparity or disadvantage. This is Witherspoon against Josh Reynolds. And it's Vele 17 on a little bubble screen from Trips. Witherspoon doesn't end up on the outside here, which is what you're really taught to do, such that the safety can fit on the inside. But he overwhelms Josh Reynolds with effort and just tenacity. He's a nasty football player. I mean that in a good way. That's a compliment. I'm a defensive-minded coach and defensive-minded person in general. It's just how I always connected with the game, whether it was basketball or football. But Witherspoon looks like the type of guy that if you have one, you wish you had 3 because he's just everywhere. And it doesn't look like you as an offense can just get away from him. The Seahawks might be creating a whole team of those guys, even though, Witherspoon has a unique set of talent in terms of explosiveness and athleticism and obviously ball skills. So I think this is quarter, half. We'll get to the coverage stuff here now. This is second possession, so we're moving back and forth in the game. Again, this is not a progression. It's a 3rd and 9, and I call this a backwards quarter, half. Normally in quarter, half, you'll have a flat corner to one side and a half field safety on that same side, and then let's cut the field in half for a moment. That's the half up there, and then down here you'll get a quarter responsibility for that safety and a quarter responsibility for that corner. And as that occurs, normally you will get a nickel defender that pushes out into the flats. Well, the nickel is to the field. They're doing this backwards, I would say, with the half to the field and the quarters to the boundary. I hesitate to even call it quarters because quarters, just being responsible for 1/4 of the field, isn't exactly quarters coverage, but I digress. So the backwards nature of this to me is that you've got a corner responsible for the flats, and then your nickel defender, which in this case is Rayshon Jenkins, is on the hash, which is really an inside linebacker alignment. So the way that they're doing this backwards is pushing an inside linebacker into the flats to the boundary. I think it's brilliant. I had not seen Mike Macdonald do this a ton, what I refer to as a backwards version of quarter, half, or Madden and everybody else calls it cover 6 at this point. But before it was called cover 6, it was called quarter, half. So inside linebackers next to each other, corner and nickel defender next to each other, and 3 deep alignment, but the coverage responsibility is not cut into thirds. In any case, the ball is thrown, and Tavele and Jenkins is breaking now. He had missed 2 tackles earlier in this video. I think he missed a third later on in the third quarter, but that was a brilliant tackle on a 3rd and 9 that held the Broncos to a 4-yard gain, got them off the field on their second possession. They were a rock down here in the red zone near the goal line, backed up. Multiple guys making plays. First of all, I think this is Baker on a tackle against McLaughlin. It's 3 to the boundary for the Broncos, so you've got 3 to the boundary, the running back, and what I think is 2 tight ends. Up to the top side, Boye Mafe beats the left tackle. I think he gets held after this win, but I only have this angle view right now, so perhaps they didn't, nobody else may agree with me, but I think he's being held right now. Yes, you want to keep fighting if you're the tackle, but this to me is a hold. When Boye Mafe's left shoulder gets yanked back that way and his corresponding or complementary right shoulder ends up going there. To me, that's clear indication that he's being held from that side, and that's why his body was torqued that way. But back to the coverage for a moment. Inside linebacker to the boundary. Corner, and then strong safety, free safety, whatever you want to call them, to the boundary. So you got 3 over 3. You can see some clear communication here telling the corner that you've got a wheel developing. It could be a wheel and a sit down. And basically what that does is he's passing that route off, and now he's going to be responsible or deal with the running back. But it's a 2nd and 7. He doesn't want to press. I mean, he's almost he's almost not got enough depth as it is now. The line of scrimmage was the 19. So he's only got 3 yards depth. You'd really like to see a little bit more. But it's a swing route. He's trying to match the depth of the running back and be able to close down when the ball is completed to McLaughlin. It's a beautiful example, another beautiful example, if you ask me, of a Seahawks player being able to come downhill on a short pass or a pass underneath and make a play, make a tackle. This is the ensuing play, 3rd and 9 after that loss of 2. Bo Nix is obviously staring down that side of the field. It's a deeper out. A pair of deeper outs, I do think that Witherspoon does a nice job of carrying this. They are playing some interesting stuff when he is the nickel versus other guys in terms of him carrying routes a little bit deeper and I can't quantify this in terms of the coverage name, but there are 3 other instances where a different player is the nickel defender and they're not carrying similar routes in the same way. So, could an offensive coordinator say, okay, Witherspoon at the nickel is possibly going to be this? Eventually, I guess. Certainly not after week 1. There's not enough film out there. But because of his depth, he's able to take over this intermediate out, and then you got this fade corner, whatever you want to call it, to Sutton, and Julian Love is all over it. The ball is out. Should have been out way sooner than this if you're going to throw it to Sutton, and it should have been way further towards the sideline. Bo Nix will learn from that, I'm sure. Rookies struggle mightily, obviously, in their first game in the NFL. I think that was covered ad nauseum in the broadcast. A couple of more coverage examples. This one, I think, is where guys are like tied to a string, very similar to the one I showed you earlier with Mafe and Dotson. This is, I think it's Hall, 58 down here. First of all, he's a load, incredibly physical and strong. A couple of plays earlier, I think I missed one, pointing it out to you guys. He brutally engages the right tackle and knocks him back. In this case, he's now in Bo Nix's face. Yes, you have a route developing here that could be available to him. This is typically not a route that you want to throw to. All it is there for is to hold that defender and allow the quarterback to throw it over the top here onto this space here, usually by the top or bottom of the number, somewhere in that area the quarterback's able to get the ball out. Hall is in his face. They did a great job with the edge defenders on this particular technique, a play action or boot concept to them. So run, show, or flow away, and then the quarterback booting back here. The edge defender to the boot side, I thought, did a great job. Mafe showed it earlier, and here's Hall disengaging from the tight end, being able to get to the quarterback. He did get, I think, credit for a quarterback hit there. That was a 2nd and 6. Important play. The Broncos were looking to get the first down on that play, if you ask me, from the deeper over concept. As it stood, they didn't get a single yard and had to deal with a 3rd and 6. And that's the situation where Mike Macdonald is really going to be able to take over. 2 more plays, and these kind of really will focus on Tariq Woolen as the backside corner. It would be greedy of me to do a standalone video on Tariq Woolen or Devin Witherspoon. I don't know how often I'll be able to watch Seahawks games live in the next 2 weeks, but certainly in week 4, I'll watch them play the Lions, and that'll be a fun week because I'll be able to create a ton of content about both teams. A couple of things to notice. You are getting a collision here of the running back, maybe a screen check, and I'm not sure where Bo Nix is trying to go with this. There's really nowhere to take this. You got dual safeties sitting between the hash and the top of the numbers. So I'm talking about Julian Love between this hash and the top of the numbers that extend there. You can see his feet. And then Rayshon Jenkins between the hash and the top of the numbers. Jenkins, maybe it's the angle we've got. Perhaps he's a little bit closer to that hash line, but in any case, you can't throw this ball. There's nowhere to throw it. You certainly can't throw it further in here to Jenkins and expect to complete it. It's going to get picked off. He tries to, let me rephrase, you can throw this, I guess, against certain corners, but not Tariq Woolen is not one of them. There's a tremendous amount of range that he has when he's connected to a receiver, and I think it's quite obvious that there's times where he is allowing himself to appear to be behind a receiver such that the quarterback will throw it and he can break on it and try to get an interception. I think his rookie year, it's not a bad thing. His rookie year trained him or showed him that he's capable of doing that at the NFL level, obviously. If you think my videos extend too long, please let me know. A part of me wishes I could get these in under 12 or 15 minutes, but I feel like covering the plays 2 or 3 times, at least for me, maybe it's my own limitations, allows me to talk about different elements of the play, aspects of the play that maybe I can't cover in just one running of the play. So anyway, this is Woolen's interception. And look, if he doesn't intercept it, it's going to be a big hit or a pass defensed by possibly 2 other guys. I think Dotson has kind of allowed himself to drift for a moment, so he's probably not going to be able to intercept this or deal with it. But Julian Love certainly would have been in a position to make a big hit if they would allow it. As it stands, Woolen undercuts it, gets an interception, his first of the year. I am really interested in what Mike Macdonald does. From a coverage standpoint, is he going to be more multiple or as multiple as he was last year with the Ravens in 2023? I'm not sure. There may be some situations where you don't need to because you have so much talent there with Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. I think Trey Brown is a very underrated corner, and I think he plays extremely physically at times. I saw him play against the Lions last year. Saw a pick 6, I think, in the second quarter. One thing to mention, Macdonald's system, this is a generic observation that I feel like I can make after watching him for 2 years, particularly in 2023, though. He kind of moves guys around from a secondary standpoint, and I think it's quite intentional. So I'll refer to 2023. You're a Seahawks fan if you've listened this long, probably, so you may not have knowledge of this. Brandon Stevens is a guy who I think played at a Pro Bowl / All-Pro level over on the right-hand side for the Ravens last year. If you want to argue about what the ceiling was or how great he played, fine, but he played exceptional compared to what the expectation was for him going into the year. He was a safety before 2023. Ended up being an outside corner and played over there was a rock. Marlon Humphrey missed a lot of time. The Ravens had a veteran, Ronald Darby, who came in and played at a very high level. There were times where all of those guys were healthy, and Macdonald would mix and match them at times strategically, and your rationale for doing so with the Seahawks in 2024 might be different. The reason is Devin Witherspoon. It's a different rationale or reason, perhaps, than in 2023 with the Ravens, but I think it adds another layer to the unpredictable nature that offensive coordinators are going to have to deal with, meaning we, the offense, are in 11 personnel. Mike Macdonald was responding with his nickel defense. Is Devin Witherspoon at the nickel? Is it Rayshawn Jenkins? Is Witherspoon the left outside corner? Is Trey Brown in? There's a lot of different matchup opportunities for them in terms of putting guys in different spots on the field. And I think it plays into, this is me projecting forward some, so forgive me for that. I think it plays into Macdonald's ability to kind of hold the cards last, if you will, be the last guy to show his cards, because you are deploying your personnel, 11 personnel, or 12, or 21, whatever. And then he can put Devin Witherspoon damn near anywhere. I thought I saw Devin Witherspoon at right outside corner one play this game, but I couldn't find it today as I searched up for this video. In any case, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know. There was a lot of feedback on the Julian Love video that people were asking for some of this. I had mentioned it, so here you go. It's going to come out late Tuesday night. Unfortunately for you guys, I'll probably have to be done with Seahawks content for a couple of days. I actually try to do some college film and still help or assist a couple of people with high school stuff in terms of scouting and just making decisions, before games. I'm unable to attend games myself at this point in time because of my family. But if you enjoyed the video, man, please let me know. I had a heck of a fun time watching it. I wish that there was a way I could watch the Seahawks game this week live or on television as it broadcasts. I don't think I'll be able to just because of other commitments. But this was a fun one to create. I tried to cover the elements that I thought were noticeable and obvious. The pursuit and effort and finishing plays was there across all three levels of the defense. The open field tackles, tremendous, other than one missed tackle by Julian Love on Vele. And then the coverage element, there was a great mixture by Macdonald, which was related to the safeties coming downhill and making tackles, getting Bo Nix to get rid of the ball quick because he wasn't sure where blitzers were coming from. How much of that carries over to week 2 and 3 and beyond, I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to finding out. I know you are as a Seahawks fan. If you listen this long, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And the feedback that you guys have given has been tremendous. I'm looking to see what Macdonald does in terms of stopping or slowing down the run game and continuing to put people into what I call the Mike Macdonald blender because it works and it's fun to watch. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy this film study video, one more look at the Seahawks defensive coverages and effort and pursuit from week 1, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.